In early 1945, Tokyo was a city of resilience under wartime austerity. Markets bustled with limited goods, children played in narrow alleys, and civilians carried on despite rationing and air raid drills. Wooden houses and traditional shops lined the streets, creating a fragile normalcy. This ordinary life would soon be obliterated by one of the deadliest air raids in history. The city's density and wooden architecture made it a perfect tinderbox, a fact not lost on Allied strategists. As Curtis LeMay's B-29 squadrons prepared for Operation Meetinghouse, they abandoned high-altitude precision bombing for a brutal new tactic: low-altitude nighttime incendiary raids. Napalm-filled M69 bombs would ignite uncontrollable firestorms in Tokyo's flammable residential districts. Declassified documents reveal the calculations: over 1,700 tons of incendiaries dropped per square mile, designed to overwhelm firefighting efforts. This was industrialized slaughter, prioritizing civilian terror over military targets. At 10:30 p.m. on March 9th, air raid sirens pierced Tokyo's night. But false alarms had made many civilians complacent. Families huddled in flimsy backyard shelters as searchlights scanned the skies. Unlike Hiroshima's single atomic strike, this attack would be prolonged and agonizing, 325 bombers approaching in waves. Survivors later recalled the eerie drone of engines growing louder, unaware that 15 square miles of their city were about to become a kill zone. The first M69 clusters struck at 12:08 a.m., releasing napalm gel that clung to skin and structures. Within minutes, thousands of small fires merged into a superheated firestorm reaching 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, melting glass, boiling canal water, and creating hurricane-force winds that sucked oxygen from shelters. Eyewitness accounts describe flaming tornadoes hurtling entire families airborne. The attack specifically targeted the Shitamachi working-class districts, where cramped housing maximized casualties. Panicked crowds found escape routes blocked by walls of fire. Asphalt streets liquefied, trapping people like insects in amber. The Tokyo Fire Department's logs later revealed their hoses vaporized on contact with the heat. Survivors reported seeing charred bodies in running poses, their shoes fused to the pavement. The attack's precision was grotesque. Flames stopped abruptly at the grounds of the Imperial Palace, sparing the elite while immolating the poor. Thousands fled toward the Sumida River, only to find its waters boiling from the intense heat. Those who jumped were scalded alive or crushed in human stampedes. Rescue boats capsized under desperate crowds. Later body counts noted victims' strange poses, arms frozen in protective gestures over loved ones, preserved like Pompeii casts. The river became a mass grave. With bodies so densely packed, they formed temporary dams. By dawn, over 16 square miles of Tokyo were reduced to charcoal. Survivors emerged to a landscape without landmarks, just endless gray ash where neighborhoods once stood. The official death toll of 100,000 was likely underestimated. Cremation of entire families left no records. Photos from the scene show children's metal lunchboxes fused together, the only remnants of schools. This was Hamburg and Dresden amplified, a preview of nuclear devastation. For weeks, survivors sifted through debris using chopsticks to collect bone fragments. With no intact hospitals, the injured lay on sidewalks as maggots infested their burns. Personal accounts describe mothers recognizing children only by surviving scraps of kimonos. The psychological toll manifested as firestorm dementia, survivors wandering aimlessly, calling names into the ruins. This collective trauma was deliberately omitted from post-war narratives. U.S. newspapers celebrated the raid's efficiency, with the AP calling it the greatest air raid in history. Military analysts coldly noted the firestorm's wind patterns outperformed projections. Meanwhile, Japanese officials hid the true scale to prevent panic, even as crematoriums operated 24/7. The bombing's success cemented LeMay's strategy, directly influencing the atomic targeting committees. Tokyo's suffering became a blueprint for maximizing civilian casualties. As Tokyo smoldered, the 509th Composite Group began training for atomic strikes. The firebombing's lessons were clear. Concentrated civilian suffering could break enemy morale without costly ground invasions. When the Enola Gay took off months later, its crew carried maps of Tokyo's burn patterns to predict Hiroshima's firestorm. The erased history of March 9 to 10 became the unspoken prologue to nuclear warfare. a threshold crossed before the mushroom clouds.